Did you know that more than 60% of railroad crossing collisions occur at crossings equipped with lights and gates? In fact, a person or vehicle is hit by a train every 3 hours in the U.S., and it's all preventable. Joining us today to discuss railway safety is John Phillips, Vice President and Chief Safety Officer for Norfolk Southern. Good morning, John. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, James.
Well, thank you for joining us. John, tell us why we all need to know about rail safety.
So Rail Safety Week is an opportunity that we take to get the message out there about public safety around railroad tracks. And the message is really simple. It's see tracks, think train. The statistic that you mentioned there at the top of our conversation about accidents occurring at crossings that have lights and gates, it means that people are taking chances. When they see the lights and gates activate, it means they're trying to get around the gates to beat the train. It's a risk that you should never be willing to take, but all too often ends in tragedy, as that staggering statistic speaks to. So the message, see tracks, think train, get it out to the people you care about, and ultimately stay away from the railroad tracks at all times and never try to race a train.
They're not James Bond and they're not Ethan Hawke, so be safe. Now, what should people know about railroad tracks that they might not be aware of?
So the thing that makes trains so efficient, it's momentum. It's also what creates a lot of time and distance necessary to get them stopped. So if you hear a whistle blowing or you see a headlight and you're near the tracks, odds are that train's not going to be able to get stopped before it gets to where you are. So that's why it's so important to be prepared, to respect the dangers around the tracks. Don't use it as a path to walk or jog on to get to where you're going. And if you're in a vehicle, it's so important to be prepared, have a plan in place as you're approaching a crossing, and never find yourself stopped on the tracks, regardless of whether or not a train may be coming.
Now, would you say most incidents on railroad tracks are preventable?
Yeah, incidents and injuries near railroad tracks are absolutely preventable, and it's all about awareness, respect, and sharing this message, this really important message about seeing the tracks and thinking a train is coming. That's how we work together to ultimately keep the citizens of the communities where we operate safe.
Now, if someone sees an issue on a track, what should they do?
So you got a couple of options. You can always call 911 and they will connect you, or they will get connected with the railroad to help provide information about a response that's necessary. But the best method is, if you're at a crossing, there is a little blue sign that's posted at every crossing in America. It's called the ENS sign, and it has a couple pieces of important information. First, it's got a phone number that's going to help connect you with the specific railroad that operates that crossing, and then it has an ID number on it that will let that dispatcher know exactly where you are so they can take action and potentially stop a train before a tragedy occurs.
Wow. Now, where can our viewers go to learn more about rail safety?
So check out the Operation Lifesaver website. It's oli.org. It's a nonprofit that is completely dedicated to messaging about public safety around the tracks and safety at grade crossings. They have videos, they got statistics, talking points, posters, things that you can use to have a great conversation in a classroom with students, with your friends or people at your church. Most importantly, have that conversation with your kids around the dinner table. Talk about public safety, use the resources at oli.org to help promote this really important message.
I've been speaking with John Phillips, Vice President and Chief Safety Officer for Norfolk Southern. We've been talking about safety on the tracks. John, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend.
Thank you, James, for having me on today.